When these objects were drawn on the screen, ortho was the drafting setting used, which means that this object here, for example, is exactly in vertical alignment with this object here. It's also in exact horizontal alignment with this object here. Now, ortho is down on the status bar, and it's this icon here. I'm going to switch ortho off, and I'm going to switch on polar here. Now, you cannot have polar switched on if ortho is on. Watch. Ortho there, as soon as I click on polar, ortho switches off. Now, polar tracking is a slight variance on the ortho mode. If I right-click over polar and go to settings, I can actually specify which increment angle I want the polar tracking to go to. Now, the default is 90, as you can see there. If I click on the down arrow and select 45, I can now track at every increment of 45 degrees. Make sure polar tracking is on, and I'll OK that. Now, this is where it gets interesting. These are all at increments of 90 degrees to each other, but I can now put another object here, 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 and here using the 45-degree angle increments. So polar is a more exact tool. Ortho, you're tied to horizontal and vertical. Polar, you can set it to any angle you wish. So I'm going to select this object here, right click, and I'm going to select copy selection there on the shortcut menu. Now, the base point that I'm going to work from, I'll zoom in a bit here to make sure I get the center snap there, left click. And as I zoom out again, rolling back on the wheel, you can see, look, there's a 45-degree increment line. There's another 45-degree increment line. You can see those green dashes there? That's locked in at an increment of 45 degrees. As you can see, it's 135 degrees, so I can copy there. Coming out this way, there's 45 degrees there. I'll click there, like so. If I come down this way, there's the lock in there for 315 degrees. So I'm going to drop one there, and then coming in here, you can see there's the 225 degrees. Again, another 45-degree increment on the polar tracking. So I left click there. If I press enter to finish and just roll back on my wheel mouse, maybe a double click for zoom extents. As you can see they're all lining in with each other at 45 degrees now? It does look a little bit of a mishmash, but you get the idea with the polar tracking. So polar tracking, you can specify the angle that you're actually tracking at. Ortho, you cannot specify that angle. It's fixed horizontally and vertically.